Hello, everybody. How are we doing? We are honored to be here tonight. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Adam DeWitt. I'm the Community Outreach Manager for Transylvania Habitat. And this is Jenny Carr. She's our Family Services Manager. And Kathy Wood, who is our Critical Repair Manager. And they're going to have their time to chat with you as well and let you know about some of the wonderful things that they do. But we really appreciate you giving us the time to take the floor and tell you about the things that we have going on and maybe how this congregation can help us. So thank you for that. We just finalized this presentation today, so bear with us. Give us a little bit of grace. Yeah. Kathy did a wonderful job putting it together, and then I went and changed the whole thing on her. So she has no idea what's coming up. I haven't seen it at all. So I don't know what's going to happen. But so we are Transylvania Habitat for Humanity. And in being part of this organization, we feel like the entire community is Transylvania Habitat for Humanity. And as lots of folks here know that have been to the summit that we had yesterday, if you were a part of that, that housing is a problem. It's a huge problem. Workforce housing, especially for not just young folks, but anybody that's trying to move to this community and make a living. I always say that my wife and I were extremely lucky to get to buy the house that we're currently in off Parkview, right around the corner from Brevard Elementary in 2015. And right after we bought that home, everything shot up. And if you remember that time, or 08, like right around those recession periods where it was really hard, there were not a lot of stock out there in homes, and they were just driving prices up. So it's serendipitous that I left the previous nonprofit that I was in to come work for Transylvania Habitat because I couldn't be happier to talk about our mission and work with the fine folks that I get to work with every day. Not necessarily these two, but there are others. You had that come. So thank you so much for having us. So in the end, it comes down to that statement right there: decent, affordable housing is what we do. Everybody knows about how we build new houses for folks, and they purchase them at an affordable rate. Jenny's going to talk about that. Now we do some other things that Kathy's going to talk about, and I'll mention at the end. But at the end of it, this is it: decent, affordable housing. And this is worldwide. This is a movement to make sure that everybody has a decent, affordable place to call home. At the summit yesterday, one thing that I really loved hearing was having a space to come back to at the end of the day, and having a space that is yours. And sure, we can rent apartments and we can rent homes, but you know that you're limited to what you can do there. But to have a space that you call yours, if you have a bad day, if you have a good day, is truly one of the most magical things that we can do in life. So we were established in '84, so we've been nailing it for 40 years. And this is, you're going to see this a lot, nailing it for 40 years. We have some artificial intelligence software we've been using, and I plugged in there one day. We need a slogan for our nonprofit being 40 years old, and this was like number 2 on the list. And I said, "Oh, I'm not even going to look at the rest. That's perfect. It's perfect." So we were established in '84. For a long time, a long amount of time, it was run only by some volunteers, board members, and then just 1 or 2, maybe just Tarina for a long time, and then 1 or 2 staff members. So the fact that we can say that we have now built 78 homes is pretty amazing. Thank you. But that's not the real numbers that I like to I mean, that's a big number, don't get me wrong. But the fact that we have 103 adults and 157 children that we have housed is the greater number, in my opinion. And our houses go to individuals, they go to families. It's truly amazing. But to have such a small affiliate, and it's like I say to folks all the time, we are not Asheville. We're not even Hendersonville. We have a very small staff compared to both of those affiliates. And we can only do so much. So that's why when folks say, I really want to volunteer, and I have all these groups coming out of the woodwork, well, we have one guy, Thad, who works with all the volunteers, and he typically does the new home builds. And then Mike usually does the critical home repairs, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And that's it. That's the only supervision that our volunteers have right now. So it's hard for us to do 3, 4, 5 homes. I think Asheville can work on, how many can Asheville work on at one time? 6 homes at once. It's hard to live up to, but we do the best we absolutely can, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. Oh, I wanted to tell you about this. So these are 2 examples of homes that we are building and rehabbing. So the top picture is in Don Ross Acres, which is ours. It's our community, our habitat community. And that is 10 homes. And we are getting ready to complete our 10th home in that community. That's a picture that I took on top of a hill and almost fell down and broke my leg. But I thought the shot looked really cool. So those 2 houses you kind of see on the right there are habitat homes. There, I think, are 1, 2, 3 one-bedroom homes there, and then a couple of 3-bedroom, and then a 2-bedroom, those types of things. The one at the bottom, so that is an old picture, the top picture. The one at the bottom is being worked on right now, and that's in the Rosenwald community. So that's part of our neighborhood revitalization program. So we are going in there. We got a grant for that, I think, right? So that is grant funded specifically for Rosenwald to help start fixing up some of the homes that are already there. Everybody, if you've driven through there, you know that there are lots of new construction, not affordable. But we are so lucky to have great partners to be able to provide our folks with homes that are already established that we can go in and renovate and turn around and sell to them at an affordable rate. So this is one of them. We call this the block house because it's made out of cinder blocks. So it was built in the 50s-ish, and then this back portion was built in the 70s sometime. So we're working on this one right now, and it's going great. We had to rip off the roof off the back, so that roof is brand new. But this is going to a mother and a daughter who are in desperate need of a place to live. So that's kind of priority right now. Have you seen it the last couple of days? Because they're putting up a retaining wall. So basically, I was standing on a sort of an embankment, and they excavated all the mud and dirt out of the right-hand side here, and they're putting a retaining wall in because there was like rocks and trees, and it was falling in, and so there's a big trench right there, and Mike got his excavator out to dig all the dirt out, and he had nowhere to put it except next to the house. So it's all like piled up next to the house right now. But the end result is going to be amazing. It's going to be a really cool house. And the design on the inside is really neat. That's in Rosman. So Don Ross Acres, if you go down, if you're on 64 and you take a left onto Old Rosman Highway, and then you go down there a little ways, there's the Country Skillet on the right-hand side. It's like a breakfast lunch kind of place. It's just past that. There's a road, Galloway Road, and then that neighborhood is up on top there. And there are, like I said, individuals, and there are families up there. But when you go up there, you're going to see like kids' bikes all over the place, and they've like drawn faces in the driveways and on the road, and it's really pretty amazing. Okay, you're up, Jenny.
Okay. Some of you know me from my Haven experience. Really pleased to be a part of the habitat world. We're making a difference in a whole different sector of the county. One of the things that I like to do is dispel myths that people think about habitat. One of those is that we give homes away. We do not give homes away. We sell people homes that they can afford to pay. The mortgages never exceed a third of their income. So that keeps it affordable for them. We look at everything. They go through education classes. They do 200 hours of sweat equity. So they're really putting into this house everything that we are. And I think for this community and most communities, that's a very important thing, is that they've got a buy-in. So that's one of the things that people sometimes think about habitat, is that we give houses away, and we don't. We like to give them reasonable rates, but we don't give them away. So the applicants must be able to show income, and we have the area median income that we use is HUD's numbers. They release them every year, and we go by those, and that's a Habitat International rule. So they have to qualify for a mortgage. It's not based on their credit scores. It's based on how they pay their bills. So if they have been late on rent for 10 months, then they're going to have to. I never say no to any applicant. I say, maybe not right now. We set them up with On Track. We get them and try to get them back on track to where the next time they apply, they will get it. We have one lady that we just closed on. She applied 3 times, and she got it. So, I think that's an integral part, is to not say it's not a hard no. Let's just keep working on it. So the sweat equity hours are based on the number of adults in the household. The household that Adam was showing you, that's the block house, has a 15-year-old in the family, and she works at the Restore with her mother to do the sweat equity. So it's a family affair. We don't make the kids do anything, but so they have to do their sweat equity. The workshops that they take, it's online classes with On Track, and they're a wonderful nonprofit that provide all kinds of budgeting. We also work with self-help and Farm Bureau and different people that can give them information on how to be a homeowner, because most of the people that we're putting into homes are from multi-generational, not necessarily super low income, but poverty. They've never lived in a home that their parents owned. Possibly their parents never lived in a home that their parents owned. So this is a new experience for them to go from renters to homeowners. And we really try to get them where they need to be good homeowners. So if you know of anybody that needs to be guided through the program, our information, there's a QR code at the end, and our information is readily available. So just send them our way, and we'll get them started in the process. We do not have a waiting list. We have 7 people right now that are in the process of having their homes built. So if I'm going to take a minute and talk about the Rosenwald that Adam was talking about, and us being in Rosenwald. One of the things that grant is for is to build a quadruplex. So there'll be, and this is a new thing for us, so we're very, very excited about that. And there's going to be 4 units with a shared wall. And so 4 of my 7 on the board are going to go there. So then so we're looking at about 2.5 years to have everybody that's currently on the list housed in their new homes. So we're always looking for new applications. Now, I do have quite a few people that I'm working with on their credit and different things to come about. I have probably 5 or 6 more of them, but we don't count them until they're really ready to go. But I would love to have a waiting list, yes. If you know of anybody, I'd be glad to put them on. Well, so how long before they apply for what? They need to have lived or worked in Transylvania County for a year before they can apply, and they need to be citizens. So, anybody else? We do have a deselection policy. And so I started out working at Asheville Habitat, and then I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went to Henderson County Habitat, worked there for a couple of years. Now I've been here for about 2 years, so I'm a happy hopper, I guess. But in all of those years, I've only deselected one family, and that was because they never did any sweat equity. They actually never started the program. So they didn't start their savings account. They didn't, and we gave them multiple chances. Angie talked to them, which is kind of like going to the principal's office. It was 6, 7 months before we already had the foundation on their house in. So, anybody else?
Now I'm stepping out of my lane here. But you work next to me, so it's okay. But if they were to be within our process and following all the steps, doing the sweat equity and all of that, and then all of a sudden they decide they want to go buy a new car, well, that just messes up everything. So there's things like that we walk them through. So it's not an easy road, but is a doable road. They just got to want it. Okay, so one thing that we have discovered as we're building new homes is that we have a lot of older homes in this community, in this county, that people were born and raised in. A large percentage of our homes were built before 1970. Some still have no running water, no kitchens, no bathrooms. And so there's a lot to do. So one thing that we have started is we've launched a critical home repair program. We kicked it off in January of 2023. They hired me in January 2023. Said, guess what? And so what we've been doing is there's an application process for that as well. But if someone is disabled, a veteran, a single parent, elderly, that is low income, wants to stay in their home, but they never thought they could because they can't fix that roof that's been leaking, or they can't patch that hole that's in the floor. They just keep walking around it, that kind of thing. And that's the goal of ours, is to reach all of those homes and see what we can do to help those who want to age in place and stay in the home in which they grew up. Home repairs unlock our ability to reach our most vulnerable populations. Like I said, there's a wide range of folks that qualify, and it's an application process, and I try not to scare them on the phone. And we go out and see their repair need, and we just take it from there. So it's really not a hard process. When I mentioned they have to qualify on an income level, these are the HUD numbers that Jenny mentioned. This is where we get our maximum income type situations. So, for example, a house with one person in it, They cannot have income into the home more than $39,200 gross. Two folks in the house, $44,800. So you can see how that works. Most of the homes that we've repaired at this point are on fixed income. Most of them are Social Security, and they might bring home $18,000 a year. Yeah. So we're happy to be there for them. You know, we're just a phone call away to see what we can do to help them. We do ask for proof of income, so a copy of the Social Security letter and those types of things. Yes, sir. That's correct. Yep. Yes, that is correct. Yes. And if they have children in the home, they move right up the list, you know, because the children are a priority. So. Oh, you aren't kidding. Since January of last year, we are totally grant funded as far as the home repair program. So we received 8 grants, I think, last year, and we've been able to operate the program since then. For those of you that work with grants, know they do end. So probably in the next 6 months, we'll have several that, you know, the time's up, reports are due, and those kind of things. So we're always seeking, of course, volunteers, donations, and those types of things. The grants are up front. Yep. There we go. So we have completed 72 home repair projects, which is, you can clap now. No. Very seldom does one home need one project. You know, so that's why we have 40 houses. We have been in 40 homes and completed 72 projects. Well, our licensed person is our contractor. We have a contractor on staff who oversees any help that he brings in. So we have volunteers that do some of our repair work along with him. We also subcontract. Some grants let us subcontract some of those out. We don't put volunteers on roofs, you know, that kind of thing. So we just kind of have to, every day is a different day. You know, every project's different. Each one has its own criteria. So some grants cover HVAC, some do not. You know, so I like puzzles. And thank God, because that's exactly what I'm doing. And everything's different. Every house is different. Every grant is different. Every project is different. You know, so one thing that we have had to, or I've had to clarify with a lot of our homeowners is the definition of critical. We realize there are lots of repairs to be done. And who are we to say what's critical or not? So what we do is once they apply, Mike, our contractor, and myself go to the home and we do a site visit or a site assessment. We have to determine, is it an imminent threat to health or safety? Some people just want their kitchen cabinets replaced. They're old, we don't do almond colors anymore, you know, those type, even though that's coming back, it is coming back. But, you know, and that's, you know, I realize you don't like almond, and neither do I, but it's not a threat to your health or your safety. Now, if the kitchen cabinets are falling off the wall, that's a different conversation. So we have to go in and assess every project. We do have a ranking process. Every house is my contractor and I, we look at it, we go, okay, first, which population are they? Are they a veteran? What's their income? You know, that kind of thing. And then we look at the repair itself. And we decide which one is more urgent than others. You know, we have a kitchen floor to fix, but then I just got a phone call from a mom with 2 kids who has no water. You know, so, I mean, it fluctuates every day, you know. But we got 72 of them done, so we're very excited about that. We do a lot of handicap ramps. We work closely with St. Philip's Church. They have a towel program, and they're great partners, and they support buying the materials, and we build the ramps. So it's a great partnership. So a lot of that going on. And as we get older, our knees are not so good, and they really don't want to climb 17 steps every day. So build me a ramp. So anyway, like I said, everything's different, every day's different, but we look for the urgent, critical needs, and then we go 100% all out. Very seldom do you find one that'll fund everything. Fortunately, Pisgah Health Foundation has been a big supporter of ours, and they kind of let us set our boundaries. But then we have some that are through the government that are just veteran-based, which I still have some money left if anybody knows any veterans that need a repair. And then some are just for HVAC units, you know, and it's just a, you know, it's a big mix of those types of things. Yes. Well, then you can.
So her question is, if you see something that says, please give to Habitat for Humanity International, where's that money going, basically? So it's kind of a strange story. So Habitat for Humanity International can solicit for money anywhere in the world, and they can bypass us. We don't see a dime of it. We can't do that. We're not even technically supposed to take projects or solicit for funds outside of our county. That is our region. That's our affiliate. So one big push that I'm going to make as the community outreach manager is to make sure that I'm always saying to folks, if you want to donate to this cause, it's got to be to Transylvania Habitat for Humanity. And those funds come directly to us. Otherwise, you will never see it. We will never see a dime of that. We will never see a dime of that. Correct. Well, yeah. We don't know where it's going. Yeah, that's right. So she has money that's being taken out of an account, and I'm assuming you thought, oh, well, this is going to a good cause, and it is. It's not that it's not going to a cause that is any less important than what we're doing. It's just not local. That's the difference.
We order the brochures ourselves, but they design it. They do. They offer grant writers, and they do a lot of our marketing. A lot of times when you hear Habitat, you don't think international, so that's okay because you're thinking more local when you hear Habitat. You know, so that's not a bad thing. So we do indirectly receive that support, yes. But it doesn't help with our operations and stuff, you know. Yeah. And
Let me reiterate that saying that they get the money and we don't see a dime of that, it's not on Habitat for Humanity International. They're still doing amazing things. That's not the case. It's just that locally, if you want your dollars to be local, you'll see the QR code at the end. That's where you will go, or just look us up, transylvaniahabitat.org, that kind of thing, but we'll go over that at the end. So does that clarify that? Okay. Yeah. We can do that. Yeah. If that's what you want to, yeah. Yes. We don't say no to a single penny. We will work it out. We will work that out. I think yours. Yeah. She asked about how much the Restore contributes. I actually have a slide on that. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But my job is to kind of tell the stories. I'm a talker. I don't know if you noticed. But I was an environmental educator for a long, long time, so I got up in front of all kinds of groups of kids, adults, families, preschoolers. God help me. They're awful. But I love to tell the stories of what we're doing. Put the faces and put the stories up front. The logistics is just as important, but people want to see on Facebook, they want to see the families. They want to see that hammer swinging. They want to see that, the work that's being done. And Kathy mentioned cabinets. This was the first home repair that I went to and was able to help Mike out on. That's him on the bottom. So this was a woman who I started chatting with her to try to get a little bio, try to get some information. She did not want to have her picture taken. So as we walked into the kitchen, we noticed that everything in her cabinets, everything was on the dining room table, all over the counters, which you can see some of it there. And as I started talking to her, I said, well, this must have been really a pain in the butt for you for what, like a couple of weeks? And she said, oh Lord, no, this has been like this for a year and a half. And she basically did not have a kitchen because she could not afford to repair this. It's kind of hard to tell, but all of her cabinets were basically falling down. There was a picture of a cabinet that I took that was very grainy, unfortunately, that was over the stove, which would have been to the right. And it was, over time, the grease that she used from cooking basically seeped up into the wood in the cabinets. And it rusted out all the screws that were in there, and it was just falling, literally hanging. And she takes care of her granddaughter, who is 1.5, probably 2 now. And so the immediate, for me, seeing this was, oh my gosh, this is going to fall down on not just the homeowner, but the granddaughter. So this was my first experience at going into a home and seeing firsthand what people are living in. So I was immensely proud of this. Mike is just amazing. So now she has brand new cabinets all over the place. We clean everything up, and she moves on with her life. But I just wanted to kind of back up and show you that. Okay. So who are the people that we serve? What are the things that we do? This is mainly for critical home repair. The woman on the right, unbelievable lady. So this happened just recently, like within a month, maybe a month and a half. And I am so lucky. I have the best job in the world because I get to meet these people and I get to hear their stories and I get to connect in a way that not everybody in the office gets to. And that makes me immensely proud. She lives up in Toxaway on top of a mountain in a very tiny, tiny little house that used to be some kind of like chicken coop, she said, that they turned into a home. And her husband was in a hospital, a rehab facility for surgery, and he could not come home until they built a ramp because he couldn't make it up and down the stairs. And as you see, there's only, 4 4 stairs. But because of the nature of his injury and his surgery, they would not let him home until we built a ramp. So I talked to her for like an hour and a half, and she was just an amazing woman. She was hysterical. She was hysterical. Happy to have us there, kept saying, God has sent you to me. And she was a retired nurse, is a retired nurse. So my wife is a nurse, so we had a lot in common, late nights and that kind of thing. But this is a picture on the right of the ramp that they're building. And that's the kind of ramp that they can knock out typically in a day, maybe a day and a half, maybe 2 days, depending on the size of the ramp. But our team goes in and they just destroy it. They do a fantastic job, and they know what they're doing. The gentleman on the right is Joe, who is our board chair, and he is also one of our volunteers. There we go. So here's a couple different things. The big one on the left is as you can see, a staircase. I did not see the before, but Kathy told me earlier.
Yeah. When I went out to look at the site visit, the steps all had holes in them. So the lady had 2 boys that were mentally challenged, and they would dare each other to go check the mail. So it's like, no, it's your day. No, it's your day, because they didn't want to go down the stairs. That's how bad they were. So we came in and built new stairs or steps outside, and life is good.
And I got to help a little bit on that one as well. The top one there is a deck that was falling apart, and we swooped in and got some new boards down for them. Typically, like Kathy said earlier, if somebody calls and says, hey man, I want a new deck, what can you do for me? Yeah, sorry, it's not critical. This one was critical. And then the one on the bottom right, Kathy and Mike and I went out to do an assessment or do a visit. And this was a trailer that was located out on Old Hendersonville Highway by Augusta. And several people living in this house in not great conditions, holes in the floors. This faucet, I think the water was not even on, but there was mold all over it. Just conditions that should not be happening, in my opinion. So this was the first really serious one that I was involved with. Kathy and Jenny have seen much worse than me. But this is a woman named Shirley. She lives in Rosenwald. She was born and raised there, has a lot of her family there. You may have seen this story. I wrote a press release in the paper last year. And she had a horrible fire caused by a defective stove, is what they say. Basically, this is her kitchen that she's standing in there. And then on the left-hand side is her dining room. I didn't want to do it all about the Shirley show because there are a lot of other people that are also in need. But this was one that took a long time to fix and depleted our funding quickly. So they gutted the ceiling, got rid of the insulation, gutted the walls, took the floor out. As they're doing this, they're finding, oh, well, this is wrong too. Oh, well, yeah, this has got to be, and over and over and over and over. And so once you open up, if you've done any renovations, you open up that can of worms, and those worms ain't going back in the can. So this was a big one. This was a really big one.
I knew Richard would wonder, but she nets $800 a month on Social Security. So do you eat or do you buy house insurance? I mean, nobody expects a fire, right? So all of these things are debatable. We realize that, but sometimes you just have to make decisions with the information you have at the time. So we don't require that our homeowners have insurance for that very reason. Yeah, yeah. Yep, she is back in her house now. Yep, yep. Oh,
So one last little story about Shirley before we move on, and I promise we're almost done. So the day that Mike and Kathy and I went to do this assessment and visit with Shirley, we parked our cars, and as you're getting out of the car, you walk up to where her front porch is, and you think, oh man, she's a hoarder. She's got stuff all in her front porch, and there's stuff all over the place, and there's just all of her belongings. She must be a hoarder. No. As you walk in, you realize that she moved all of her stuff out from the parts of her house that were not affected by the fire so they wouldn't smell. And she moved them all out on the front porch. So she couch surfed at different people's houses for the entire time that we rebuilt her house. And that's basically what we did, is rebuilt the house for the most part. But it's sometimes you don't know the story until you start talking to them. But the interesting thing about this is, as we're walking through, there's no light. Everything is covered in creosote and soot and smells, and the acrid smells are getting in your brain, and you're thinking, I got to get out of here. And on the counter was a phone from, like, it was an old phone she had from like the 1920s. Like, you remember? Like a big rotary phone with the huge, and it was like gold and white or something. Almond, sorry, yeah. Nobody likes almond phones. And this phone was untouched by the fire. And it was sitting in the middle of the fire. So good construction on the phone, I guess. I don't know. So we're getting towards the end. How can you help, either as an individual, as a collective congregation, as a couple of people looking to make a difference in the community? We're so lucky that we have partners that we can buy land from, and we need more. So this is one that I added, because Angie at the summit, the Health and Faith and Housing Summit yesterday, said we have about enough land to be able to work for about 10 years, and which seems like a long time, but it's not. So land, if you know of somebody who has a piece of property that is willing to partner with us, please put them in touch with us. There's this thing going on with people who have land that want to sell it. Oh yeah, I could sell it for $1.5 million and go live in the Bahamas. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Or can you do something else with it and maybe make a difference in some community members' lives? Awareness is a big one. I mean, I'm doing that. We all do that on a daily basis. Just tell your friends. I mean, family members, either donate or just be on the lookout for land and those types of things, or come out and spend a day at the Restore. We always need that kind of help. But obviously volunteering on builds or home repairs is huge for us. Donations, always welcome. Always welcome. And this is Emily and Emily. They are homeowners in Rosman. They're both named Emily because little Emily, her father is with Big Emily. They just happen to both be named Emily. But they have one of the homes that they purchased from us. And we have a program right now. Nancy has given us all of these beautiful pieces of art, and they all get a new piece of art when they purchase a home. So thank you. Rockstar. So the Restore, this is another way that you can help. This is just a collection of some of my favorite slides. If you've gone to the Restore, you've probably seen some of these folks. I'm trying to work with Transylvania Regional Hospital to do almost like a yard sale for the Restore, to bring in donations of gently used pieces of furniture. So, my thought is, if you have a big parking lot, here or somewhere, or maybe over at New Adventure, We advertise some sort of, hey, bring in your furniture. If you can get it here, awesome. And then we can either have the public come in and sell it, and then that way the public is seeing it, as soon as it comes in, and then we collect those donations. Whatever doesn't get sold, then we can take that to the restore, and we can still try to sell it. So either way, it's a win-win. And you get rid of some of the stuff that you need to get rid of. It's awesome. And then you get new stuff. That's right. So I like this picture on the right-hand side, on the upper corner. That's Karen. And the reason why I like to include that picture is because people think because we're a restore that we sell junk, and it's just not true. People know us to have good, affordable prices, and we do, but we have some darn nice pieces of furniture, really nice. And we've been very lucky to get these pieces of furniture from folks who are either moving or trying to downsize, whatever it might be. But that table is an example. We actually sold that for $1,300, I think. It was a huge table. And every dollar of that goes back into our mission. But we also take household goods, and we don't take clothes, just FYI. We don't take mattresses, but almost everything else we do take. Yes. So that's the reason why Casey's in the bottom picture right there, because we have a box truck. We can pick up your furniture, not small items, but furniture. We can definitely pick it up. We do not deliver. Yeah, we don't deliver, unfortunately. We don't have the staffing, unfortunately. I wish we did, because that's the second question that people always ask. Do you pick up and do you deliver? Unfortunately, we do not. But then Taylor here on the left, the guy with the big smile, he loves to refurbish furniture that comes in. So if he gets a piece of furniture that looks like, it could use a couple of nails, it could use a little bit of wood glue, he takes the time to sand things down to make it usable again, and then resells it once it is as good as he can possibly get it. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to take every broken piece of furniture, but we have that option to be able to fix it and then determine whether or not it's something we want to sell. So, and the last thing is becoming a long-term partner in a faith build. And this is a brand new concept for Transylvania Habitat. We've never done it before. Last October, we have our first faith build going on with Brevard Davidson River and St. Philip's. And we could not be more proud to be a part of this. And what a faith build is, and this is actually a picture of the faith build. This is not all the folks, is bringing two or more congregations of different backgrounds together for a common bond and mission of helping those in need in our county. The whole goal of a faith build is to bring people that are different together to do something wonderful. It's a process. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and it takes some time, and because we don't have the manpower, it's not as fast as again, Asheville or some of those larger affiliates. So it's a work in progress. This being our first faith build, it's a learning curve. But as we go and we're able to get onto properties that we can build on, I think that it'll go smoother and it'll go quicker. But these are some of the things that, some of the ways that you can help, your congregation can help in a faith build. Obviously, donations are amazing. We love donations. But volunteering to build in any capacity, what you see there are some ideas of things that we definitely need help with. I think Jenny had mentioned that contractors do things like plumbing, electrical, sheetrocking, roofing, because they're the experts. I mean, they're the ones that are licensed. So we let them do that. Everything else is fair game. We could use help with it. Putting in flooring. Making meals for the volunteers is a big one. If you have a group of like 30 people out on a build, they may not all have their lunch, bring them food, bring them pizza, make them lasagna, whatever it might be, whatever you are good at. There's a picture here on the right. This has been the favorite thing that this faith build has done, and that is helping to bless the home and giving words of encouragement. So whether you are a religious person or not, it's just about encouragement. Whether you make it about your particular religion or whether you make it about just goodwill. So I love this one right here because you kind of see, I'm not sure who that is in the background, but she was trying to decide on the next place to write something on a stud in the house. And the house is covered in it. And there must be 200 blessings and goodwill messages. And we love you, Corey. Corey's the name of the gentleman getting this house. And then helping to recruit volunteers in your congregation is a big one. It's understood that not everybody can swing a hammer or wants to. I don't want to get on a ladder anymore, I can tell you that. But some of these other things are ways that you can help without having to swing a hammer or do something that is out of your comfort zone. And then the home dedication is the last thing, just attending the home dedication and wishing them well. And that's basically when we go in, and Jenny is great about leading prayers, and we have gifts that we give the homeowners. And I think we're doing all Don Ross on the next one. So then we will congregate and we'll get out there and wish them good luck and send them off in their new home. And this is why we do it. So I was lucky enough to talk with the two on the right, the two families on the right. Andrew, I know, but I was not there for his closing. He's the gentleman on the left. And then Angie's our executive director on the far left. But this is why we do what we do, is those smiles. All right, we'll take some questions, last minute questions.
If they get behind while they're in the program, we work with them. Yeah, while they're in the house. There's several different ways we can do that. So we don't take care of our own loans. In other words, we don't bill the homeowners. We have a servicing group that does that. And we have a lot of leeway with them. So before we foreclose on anybody or, do anything punitive with them, we work with them every way possible. The North Carolina Housing Finance Agency actually has a foreclosure prevention fund that we can refer them to. On Track also manages some foreclosure funds. So we can basically put their mortgage on hold. In fact, we have a homeowner right now who has been sick for 2, 3 months, 4 months. Andy? Yeah, he's been sick for about 4 months, and his mortgage is on hold until he gets it figured out. And I don't know where it's going to go with him, but we're working with him as best we can. And that's also a part of the nurture committee, and Marcia is a part of that follows them through the program and after the program, so that if they need something, they can always reach out to, not always a Habitat staff. We're glad to talk to them, but sometimes they're more comfortable talking to just Habitat affiliate person. So does that answer? Yeah.
Michael and I, my husband and I, have been involved with habitats around the country since around 1986, honey. But with this habitat for just over a little over a year, And you build a relationship from the beginning because the nurturing committee here in Transylvania County is also the selection committee. So we're actually a family services committee. We're under Jenny. And I'm very humbled by working with the group of people that are really facilitating the habitat here in Transylvania County. Excellent people, wonderful way of sharing and knowing that you're part of a community. It's really, I am because we are here in Transylvania County. And I want to really extend that. We are also really excited here in our church with the Social Action Committee of partnering with another church for a faith build. I was hoping that it would be in the spring, but it's going to be probably late summer or early fall before we have the homes ready for us to do a faith build. There may be more than one faith build that we will be involved with, but currently I have talked with people at Sacred Heart Catholic Church, and they are very excited in doing a faith build with UUTC. So they're waiting for the time, when we'll hear from Adam, and he'll let us know exactly when, and hopefully I can give you all about a month's leeway of knowing when to, when we're going to have that faith build. Michael and I have worked on probably around the country, maybe 12 houses, honey, and then some repair works in some of the communities as well. And you meet wonderful people. You have, with the builds, you have immediate gratification. You see the walls going up. You see the pictures of the foundation being poured. And if you remember your first home, the first home that we had was a new build. And I was pregnant with our second son. And we would go out there as often as we could, and that's what we're seeing with the families that are doing the builds here in Transylvania County. It means so much to people to have their own place that they can call home, that they know is safe, that that will be theirs forever in some cases. So so we're going to have a faith build for sure going on either late summer or early fall. Right, Adam?
So in just to close, the reason that is kind of being extended down the road is because of all these projects that we've been talking about. The quadruplex, there's a 2-story home in Rosenwald. Those are going to kind of be happening at the same time. And then finishing up this last home that you saw the prayer on. So all those have to be done first. And then we move to See Off Mountain. And there's going to be 10 or 11 homes there, new homes that we're going to build. And then if you saw the press release I wrote about the piece of property off Woodland Terrace, that is right around the corner from the high school, and that's 8.1 acres, and that's going to be up to 30 homes, which is going to be gargantuan for us. That's the biggest piece of property by far that we will have been working on. But so these other projects have got to come first, and then boom, faith build. But I feel like once we get up to See Off and we have those 10 homes to build, it's going to just go pow pow, and it's going to be a lot of work happening all at once. Yes, ma'am.
That's a good question. So the way I like to respond to that question is to let people know that Habitat is the builder and we're the bank. So we act as the funder and we act as the builder. The home comes with a 1-year warranty, and Mike takes it way further than a year. He's just the best guy. We've got a lady that's been there for several years, and I think he's on speed dial. But to make my point is that It's just like if you bought a house. The bank is not going to come in and do an inspection on your house and make sure that everything is done properly when you've been there for 5 or 6 years. So we give them that amount of independence. We don't oversee them to that point. It's their house. They've worked hard to build it, and they've worked hard to save money for it. And, you know, I mean, as much as we would like to keep up with, and some of them I have been in touch with recently. Yesterday at the summit, the girl had been in her home for 13, 14 years. But we really can't oversee them like that. That's just a little too hovery. So we like to give them that independence. And, you know, it's just like probably any of your neighbors in your neighborhood, there's going to be that one neighbor that you do this every time you pass their house. So, I mean, there's some of them that are that way. That's very true. Because they have been renters, probably multi-generational, we do want them to understand that this is your house. When they close, Mike and I give them a schedule of what time of year they need to take the water hose off the bib, change your air filters, you know, that kind of thing. We're working on a newsletter right now that'll go out to the homeowners, reminding them of these things seasonally, you know, like time to do this, because they're not going to know to check their smoke detector batteries when the time changes, you know. So that's we do work on it, but there's no guarantees with them.
If I could, I'd like to share with you an experience Alice and I had the other night. We watched one of the documentaries that was up for an Academy Award this year. It's called The Barber of Little Rock. And it's about 40 minutes long. You can stream it on, I know on YouTube and maybe on Netflix. And it's about the great financial divide between the rich and the poor in Little Rock. And those of you who've been there have seen it. And it centers on a man who, in that community, in the black community, in the poor community, who decided to open a barber's college to teach people how to cut hair. And he's taught over 1,500 people, both men and women, to do that and to have a real income. But the one thing that comes across, one of the things that really comes across, is that when you're poor, number one, you can't qualify for a mortgage. And number two, you never get the opportunity to have a hard asset that you can pass on to your offspring. And so that poverty just repeats its cycle over and over and over again. And so by enabling a person to get a home, you give them something that they can pass on to their children or other people, and you end that cycle of poverty by doing that. It's called The Barber of Little Rock, and it's 40 minutes long, and I would encourage you to watch it. It's a powerful film.
So that's one of the things about Habitat that hasn't been brought up, is that we feel like we're building wealth with families that otherwise they wouldn't be able to have. So that's kind of the language that we use, which is building wealth. And a lot of people don't see it that way. You know, I'm making my house payment, I'm not wealthy, but they have something that otherwise they wouldn't have.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes, Nancy?
I just have to make a closing testimonial. Some of you were here this past year when I preached about housing, and you know that I'm a landlord, and I've actually formed a wonderful partnership with this Habitat, selling them some of our rental houses so they can renovate them or build things on our little pieces of land. But I've got to say, these people are so impressive. What they're doing is amazing. And they've just like exploded in the last 5 years. They're everywhere. They're doing everything. They have all these new projects. They have all this energy. They're raising funds. And they're doing it, with minimal staff, minimal number of volunteers. So anything we can do to help them, I think, is wonderful. And if anybody wants to talk about ways you can get involved or how to get hooked up with them, talk to me. I will talk your ear off about what you can do. Yeah, or Marcia. We're going to make it our mission to make you hear about Habitat all the time here. So thanks. I'm really glad you all came tonight.
Thank you, folks. Thank you very much.
I did bring some brochures. I'll leave them out front, and I'll just leave them here forever and ever, amen. But so that you can pass them on to your friends and just let folks know about the homeownership program. I'm sorry, that's her. The home repair program. Okay, I already stepped out of my lane one time, so you know. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it.